Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another video. A woman still has to feel a handsome man's vibe. This is very important. Like, one of the things when we have discussions of man gets woman, we talk about a lot of stuff. We definitely talk about the mouthpiece. We talk about looks. Rom talks about body game. And, of course, a lot of guys talking about money. But one of the things that's not talked about is a woman will find a man attractive based on his vibe. And that just means, how does he make her feel? And it's not automatic that he got money and looks that she's gonna feel a certain way. Let me tell a story that a young lady friend told me. She told, because she had worked as a cashier at a supermarket, and she said one time this guy came up, he was in her line, and she said he looked handsome. She even used the word model handsome or something similar to that. Right? She said he was very handsome, and she said, oh, okay, he's cute at first. But then the way he was talking to her and looking at her, it scared him. It scared her, rather. It scared her. She said he came off as one of those like rapist types, or specifically serial killer type. Man, I was just like, wow. And she said she specifically used the word vibe. Another instance, now I can't say how I know of this, but it was a guy who was working at this store who women say, oh yeah, he's definitely a pretty boy, he's definitely handsome, but the women didn't like him because of the vibe he gave off. Look, vibe just means, how do you make the woman feel? And even if a man is handsome, which is great bait, and that'll get the woman to stop for a bit, but the man's behavior can get her to feel a certain way. Even if he's, saying all the right words and everything, something about how he's making her feel is turning her off. See, understand something. Because of course you get some guys, they think, well, if you look good, boom, or if you got a mouthpiece, boom. But see, here's the thing. Part of communication is the man's body language and everything, how he looking at her and everything. That could turn a woman off. Like, a man could have all the supposedly perfect words and he can look good, but then he's looking at her like, well, if they got alone, he would genuinely maybe rape her or something, or might beat her or do something negative, or he got something negative. That's because the woman's nature is also to feel a man. They got to feel something when they dealing with it. That's where the term vibe comes from, the energy and everything. Even a handsome man can even come off as creepy to a woman. It's not just based off of looks. See, understand something with women. Men, we tend to be straightforward. We tend to be at that logical, rational thing. It's like one boom, boom, boom. When women looking at a man, they looking at everything. They listening to everything. They feeling everything. They feeling everything. And see, that's where a lot of guys can't figure it out. They were like, well, everybody called me handsome, outside their parent, outside their mother and stuff. Okay, that's cool. But then something about the guy, and it's not necessarily he's like dangerous or anything. They might say, you know what, he's not coming off as sexy to them. He's not coming off as somebody who would make them feel secure. He's coming off as goofy to them. See, that's a very important thing. That's the vibe. That's the vibe. Oh, he ain't serious, or whatever that they're looking for. And see, that's why I always say, as a man, you can't just rely on your looks. I just did a video on that. You got to have so many things. That's why you will get situations where you get a man who maybe he don't have those model looks, but he's getting plenty of women. And you wondering how. It's like he know how to make a woman feel good. You know what? I remember the first time I really learned this was in high school. And it was a dude. Right? He had women lined up. But he was not considered classically handsome, even by the women who were getting with him. And I ain't gonna lie, I asked him straight up, how you getting to women like this? Or girls like this? I just asked him. And he said, make them laugh. Because he was, I give it to him, dude probably could have been a professional comedian. Because he was funny. He was, that's all he did. But what does the laughter do? It makes them feel, it loosens them up. It makes them feel good, you know? And he wasn't like some alpha showpiece or anything like that. Like I said, he kind of, if you just saw him, didn't know him, your first thought is goofy. In fact, he would be considered, you know, in this day and age, people will probably look at him, you know, some of those black pillars will look at him and probably say, oh, well, you know, he's a low tier normie, or they might even say he might be an incel or something. But his personality, how he carried himself and everything, you know? And that was the whole thing. He made them feel. See, that's an important thing. See, I'm gonna tell you what. In general, I remember an Instagram post. I forgot who had it up, but so whoever it was, they were asking the women to rate the things, these 4 things about a man: his looks, his personality, his vibe, and money. And I think I talked about that before. I think only out of several hundred answers, only a couple women rated money highest. For the most part, it was at the bottom. But surprisingly, looks was at the top for some women, and then personality, but also vibe was very important. Vibe was very important. I say out of those top 3, vibe, personality, and looks, all of them shared about roughly equal amount. I ain't like counting each one, but only thing that was just not just there at all, except for maybe a couple responses, was money. But that's important. That's very important to women. Yeah, they can like how you look. Oh, and they can even think you got cool personality. But it's how they make you feel. I talked about it before, about this one woman who, it was just a purely sexual relationship. I ain't spent 1 penny on her. And I was dealing with her for like 4 years on just a friends with benefits thing, not 1 penny. She said she had met a guy who was willing to spend money on her. You know, dude was handsome. She said he was handsome, had a nice car, all of that stuff, but she just said it was just something about him. She wasn't turned on. She said something wasn't right. And look, understand something about women. That's just their nature. See, a lot of guys got to understand that with women. Don't get mad at it. Don't get mad that, you know, you got all this money and everything. Or you even tell her that you love her or something and willing to do all this. They still got to feel something. And it's not a general thing. It depends on the woman. For some women, they got to feel a sense of excitement. For other women, they got to feel a sense of security. You know, some women got to feel a sense of, nurturing. They got to feel like they need to nurture a guy. Some women need to feel like this guy is going to give them constant attention. Like he's just like totally focused on them. It's different, but it all still comes down to a vibe. Now, with a handsome man, you know, there's been plenty of handsome men, like ever since I started doing these handsome man videos, who are saying, well, they're handsome, but they still having trouble. That's one of the things you got to look at. How you making them feel, you know? And it's just a question of, and it ain't even saying what you got is bad. It's just saying that particular woman doesn't click with the vibe that you're giving off. Like, okay, like here's a great example. You could be a real serious type of man, like no nonsense, you don't smile a lot. Some women going to be turned off by that because they want to party more and stuff. But then some other women, they're going to like that vibe. So one of the things is you don't want to try to pretend like you're something that you're not. All you have to do is focus on which women are feeling what you got. Your tribe. That's why I always say that. You can't, like, if a woman ain't feeling something about you, don't try to logic her into liking you. You can't, anybody try to say, like, I can do this to get a woman to like you, they scamming you. I'm gonna just call them scams. You can't make any human being like you. Because if it was like that, we wouldn't be talking about all this. All men would just do whatever it takes. If it was just some 1, 2, 3, you get a woman to like you, men wouldn't have any trouble getting women. The real issue is just finding a woman who's feeling you. That's the only thing. In fact, when people are talking about game and stuff or approach or choosing signals, whatever, it really just comes down to finding a woman who likes you. who's feeling your vibe. And see, a woman has to still feel that vibe. That's very important. Regardless of how you look, regardless of how cool personality you got, and even if they looking for money, they still got to feel a vibe. And even, I'm gonna tell you what, even with the money piece, because of course there's some women out there, they influenced by a man's money. Not in a good way in my opinion, but they still influence. They still got to feel like you got money. They got to feel you got to carry yourself in a way, like you get some guys thinking, well, I got all this money, how come women don't like me? Do you carry yourself like you have money? Are you giving off a vibe you got money? So that vibe thing is very important. Now I know some guys that disagree with it, but look, here's a fact. Here is a fact. Men and women aren't the same. That's just a woman. I challenge a woman to come on here and tell me I'm incorrect. They got to feel you, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for today. Get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.